Fantasia in Montreal. All right, we're recording now.
Ah.
Let's get down to business here.
No, it's okay. We are going to have a normal chat. I mean, the idea is just to have fun, to meet. Here is Christian. I think you know each other, right? It's upside down.
Hey, guys.
Christian,
Hi.
you're upside down.
I'm upside down.
Yeah, you're sideways.
Hey, Rob, how you doing? Hey, man.
What's up?
Finally, we get to talk in person, sort of.
Oh, okay. You're the. We talked just on Instagram, right?
Yes. Now, am I upside down now? No more upside down.
Now you're regular.
Christian
yes, we talk on Instagram. I'm the guy from Escalation that opened for like the sadness in the Monster Fest in Australia thing.
Right. Yeah. I remember. Are you also in Argentina?
Me? No. I'm in the US right now.
Okay. You know that I have family from Argentina, from Mendoza.
Oh, really? Well, that's so great.
Yeah.
Well,
so I have one cousin who lives there now, and then I have two cousins. No, actually three cousins who grew up there, and they live in Toronto right now. But
wow.
Yeah, the Argentinian connection. If people had known that, I would have won at Rojo Sangre instead of Pussy Cake.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I remember it was very successful. I mean, it was really full the show. We have the Throne Festival in June, so Cannes is coming. So if you want to come, we can screen Sadness. That would be great.
I feel like that would be pretty much like the longest flight.
I know.
You know what I mean? So like I appreciate it. I'm gonna have to pass on that one because it'll probably take like 22 hours to fly there. And but I've always wanted to visit Argentina. I hear it's nice there, and they have good food and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have good food. And actually, I was telling Christian, there's a lot of crazy directors here. Well, the director of Pussycat, Pablo Paredes, you should meet him. He's kind of crazy in a good way. Yeah. I guess. So yeah, I wanted to ask you why a guy from the UK is living in Asia. How that happened?
Well, first of all, I'm not from the UK. I'm from Canada.
Oh, Canada. Oh, sorry, Canada.
I'm just one of these guys who went on a vacation and then stayed where I was vacationing, and then just started to kind of develop a career, and then the career led me to filmmaking. Initially, I just wanted to be an animator, and that's what my background is in, just like doing first 2D animation and then doing 3D animation, and then just kind of like lucky things happen in life, and then you end up meeting someone who puts you on a path towards something else, and next thing you know, you're directing this like gore film in Taiwan. So it's just I don't know. I wish I had a better answer than that. Like, I mean, I really do think that like I don't like I'm definitely like a film director, and I consider myself a filmmaker and like sort of professional storyteller and all that kind of stuff. But like, I definitely don't have the same story that like most filmmakers tend to have. Like I sort of just stumbled into it, and it worked out pretty well. So I want to try to do it again. Like,
yeah. No, congratulations. And don't worry about that. I think the most original story are the best. I'm an economist who 3 years ago started producing films. So I've been traveling. I think again, it's about funding yourself, because again, I lived in France, I lived in Israel, in Colombia. I was lost, and suddenly I started talking with filmmakers, and I started meeting people like Christian. Now I'm talking to you. And again, for the first time in my life, I'm 39, and I do it what I love. So I think
I've always just on that subject, like, I never really felt lost. Like I always was doing something, and I always felt like you know, fulfilled, and I always sort of took pride in whatever I was doing. But I guess like sort of as a, if you're, you know, if you're a person working in a creative field, the ultimate goal is to be doing what you want to be doing on your own terms and being paid for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, so doing the sadness was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm here. And now it's just sort of this struggle to maintain being here, you know? Like that's what I think is the situation I'm at right now.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? Are you drinking coffee?
No, this, you should know this. This is mate. The guys from Mendoza didn't tell you about the mate.
I'm not from Mendoza. I just have cousins. I don't know.
No, but I'm sure the guys from Mendoza, they drink mate. Mate, it's a traditional Argentinian drink. It's kind of, you put this and.
Oh, it's tea.
No, it's stronger than tea. Actually, it's stronger than coffee. So you drink it and you,
Is it cocaine?
No.
Are you on drugs, Adrian? He's on drugs.
Oh.
Rob, run away. We don't want to be on this video.
It's legal. No, it's kind of like coffee. The matein, that is a substance in the mate, it's kind of like coffee, actually, but it's different. It's not the same. The difference is it hits you faster, and it doesn't hurt your intestine like coffee does.
Sounds like cocaine to me, man. I think that's what you're.
Well, there's a joke about mate and cocaine because you know, like this, but no. Actually, when I was traveling to the States, Israel. They stopped me because of the mate. They say, "What is this thing?" No, it's like coffee. So, but you know,
does it look?
Yeah.
It looks like a white powder or not?
No, it's green. It's green.
Okay. At least it's green. It's freaking white.
It's the pure coca leaf before you
refine it. But the coca leaf actually doesn't hit so hard. I don't know if you tried the coca leaf.
No, unfortunately, no. I've only ever done powdered cocaine in my life.
Powdered cocaine. No.
A lot of experience with that, but you know, once in a while on New Year's, you know, someone brings up. Anyways.
I wanted to ask you: it is easier to do a film like The Sadness in Taiwan than in Canada, right?
To be honest, people ask me questions like this kind of question, and it's hard for me to answer because I don't really have a basis of comparison because I've only made one film and it was in Taiwan, so it's kind of like I would imagine so. I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of like you know, at the end of the day, it's just about what people are you can make whatever you want, right? Like there's not really any limit as long as you're not hurting anybody. You can make something as graphic or as in bad taste or as offensive or whatever. You can make whatever you want as long as you have the money. But the thing is, though, is that like usually the guy who's putting up the money is going to want to make his money back, and you have to be able to sell it to someone. And just in the current ecosystem of like streaming services and all that kind of stuff, it's like there's a huge, like even in the last like 5 years, like there's a huge push towards things being more like mainstream and sort of like less offensive in general. So and that's like just like a worldwide sort of thing, you know. So is it easier to do it in Taiwan? No, I would say no. But I would say that like I just had first of all, The Sadness was not terribly expensive to make, like relatively speaking, and also the sort of the financing situation was fairly unique. Like basically, we just had a guy who wanted to make a crazy movie and felt like you know, like, okay, look, we should make a horror movie, but in order to sort of stand out from everyone else, we should make like the craziest one that's going to be the thing. And that was his idea, not my idea. Like there were places with the sadness where he wanted to go further. He was like, oh yeah, make this crazier, like show it more of this, you know. And I was like, if we show more of this, then we're not going to be able to get it in. Like we're not, forget about selling it, we're not going to be able to get it into festivals. Like festivals won't take it. I understand how this sort of you know, how sort of like I know the people who run these things, and I know the kind of people they are, and I know sort of the kind of gatekeeping kind of aspects of film festivals. And I know that if we are exploitative with a lot of this sexual violence stuff, if we go too far, then we're just going to end up making a movie that we like, but that we're just not going to be able to sell. I mean, look what happened with the Serbian film, right? Serbian film they weren't able to distribute that anywhere except for, I think the only distributor that they had was like a Brazilian distributor. And luckily they were able to at least make their money back, which is pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know.
By the way, have you watched Christian short film Escalation?
What's it called?
Escalation. It's a short
No,
film. Oh.
I haven't watched Escalation.
You will enjoy it. It's kind of a fun gore. It's your style. You can send Chris, and I'll send it to you. Can I send it, Christian?
Yeah, but Rob, were you at Monster Fest in Australia when the Sadness played, or you weren't there? I don't remember.
No, I wasn't there.
You couldn't see it.
Yeah, I won though. We won best film though, I think.
Yeah. I was about to ask you. You won the best film, right? You had the freaking Monster Award.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want me to go get it? I'll go get it. Hold on.
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, here it is. I have it over here on my little table with all my crap.
Trophy collection.
Yeah, like trophies and knickknacks and stuff. Here it is, right here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. The Monster Award from Monster Fest.
Best picture. Yeah, so this was a pretty good one. Everybody wanted this one when I got it because it's kind of the coolest award. But I'm gonna keep it. Like the producers wanted it. They were like, it's the best picture award. The producers are supposed to get that. And I was like, okay, I'll bring it to you next time I see you. And then I just didn't bring it, and I just let them forget about it.
So wait, some of your awards you gave them to the producer?
No way, I gave them all to me. I kept them all. But all I'm saying is that when I posted it on my Instagram story,
they wanted it.
They were like, it's not best director award, it's a best picture award. And traditionally, if you look on Wikipedia, a best picture award is supposed to go to the producer, right? And I was just like, okay, I'll definitely bring it to you next time I see you. But then I just like never did.
F that. I'll say F that. No way.
It's like when you lend like a Nintendo game to your friend, and then you just keep it, kind of thing, you know. You just let them forget about it. But in any case,
best producer, not the best picture.
Yeah, well, it's actually best picture. Usually, the award, you'll find those awards at the producer's house. That, like, if we're talking about like Oscars and shit. But I mean, I like your answer before. Fuck that, you know. It's a good response for that.
It's funny you said that. I understand the problem with Serbian film. I read the story, but in your case, there was a lot of acceptance in the festivals, the audience. I mean, I think sometimes the filmmakers, especially the producers, tend to underestimate the audience on some of the festival. I understand if, for example, the big festival won't take it, but I remember, I have a friend in the Fry Fest working there, and again, there was a huge success. Rojo Sangre wanted. I mean, there's a lot of people and audience for that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, it was it was definitely like a good. I think in the last maybe like 2 or 3 years, it's been pretty good for horror in general, and I feel like I don't want to claim that like I started anything with the sadness, but like it seems to me like the sadness was a really gory film that did sort of the rounds in 2021, and I feel like it was kind of a breath, a breath of fresh air for like people, horror fans, because for a long time that just wasn't really what was getting made. Like the kind of horror that was coming out wasn't really this kind of like action horror gore kind of thing. I think that what filmmakers were trying to do is trying to create more of like the tension and the suspense and the excitement, just sort of with the script, like with the dialogue, and sort of, because I've always said that, like, that's all, if you can do that, it's good because it's cheaper, like just having people on screen speaking and having like all, like, if you write really good sort of exchanges and dialogue, and it's enough to keep people engaged, then it's like, great, you're doing your job, and also it's cheap. Whereas like if you write and then a bunch of people jump off a building and they all splatter all over the place, and then a car flips over, it's like, okay, great, well, someone has to pay for us to do all this stuff, and I mean, the screenwriter, it's just always words on a page, like regardless if it's action or if it's dialogue. So like, I guess that is the reason why sort of the sort of as they say, like, elevated horror kind of stuff was being made, because it, on top of it being fashionable, it also happened to be cheaper in terms of production. But the sadness, we decided to put like pretty much all the budget on the screen and just tried to make it as like, have as much stuff going on as possible, and really kind of be very generous, I guess, to the audience. And then we're seeing like all this sort of gory stuff come out afterwards. Like Terrifier 2 kind of came out afterwards, which is, I'd say it's even sicker than The Sadness in terms of this, like, the like, holy shit, like the impact that you're getting with some of this stuff. And then I haven't seen it yet, but like at Sundance, Talk to Me, by those Australian guys, I forget their name. That's supposed to be pretty gory as well. And there's the new Evil Dead movie's coming out soon. There's a movie called The Outwaters, I think.
Yeah, Waters, yeah.
That's supposed to be really gory too. So I mean, just like, I think that just sort of, gory, crazy movies are kind of having a little bit of a time in the sun right now. And they're also getting like theatrical releases, like in the States, like not big ones, like maybe, whatever. Like I think Terrifier 2 got a lot. I think Terrifier 2 had like 1,000 theaters at one point. I know that some of them are getting smaller releases, like 600 theaters or whatever. And then you have that, this is not really part of that group, but like Skinamarink, that whatever, that sort of whatever you want to call that, experimental horror, whatever, maybe playing in 100 or 200 theaters. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling right now.
No.
But the point I'm trying to make is that I feel like it was the right place at the right time to do like a gory action horror that was not really concerned with building honest tension. Like The Sadness is just about like terror, like visceral terror, like oh my god, that guy's gonna rape me to death, like just very, very simple, very straightforward sort of stuff. So anyways, that's the whole fucking thing. I can't really remember if you asked me a question or not, or if I answered that.
Okay. I mean, we're just chatting. We are free horror fans talking. That's the idea. Yes, I really want to. I am curious. Who came up with the idea of the eye rape?
Oh, me.
Oh, it was you. I thought it maybe was the producer who went crazy thing.
No, he didn't like. He's a producer. Come on, he doesn't have ideas. He just says like, I want it to be like a zombie movie, a pandemic movie, and then once we sort of make the decision that it's going to be sort of this extreme film, then he he sees what we're doing, and he's just like, do it more, like, like, what I mean, like there's no creation of an idea. It's just sort of looking at what you're doing and saying you're not doing it enough. That's what a producer does, or that's what a financer does, like the the violence is not violent enough, the action isn't exciting enough, this girl is not pretty enough, like you know, they're always trying to push you, trying to make it better. This, like, make the acting better. These dailies look like shit, do it better, you know, like that's what he's doing. So anyways, yeah, like the eye rape was definitely my idea. I got his input was to show it, and I was like, no, I don't want to show it, because I feel like if I show it, that will turn it into a joke. I've said this before in interviews. Like, I feel like if you you know, if you step over certain lines with violence and with sort of being audacious, you risk turning something that could be horrifying into just kind of like a joke or like a farce, you know. So that was the intention with sort of being a little more conservative with that scene. I look back on it and I still think I made the right decision. You know, you see people on YouTube being like, "What did they fucking cut away? They should have fucking shown it." And it's like, no, I shouldn't have shown it. I shouldn't have. Like, I mean, I could have. It's not like I'm doing this because like I'm afraid to do it. It's just because it's better the way that I did it. You know. And if you want to fucking do it a different way, then make your own fucking movie. You know. That's the way I look at it. Anyways, so what else is going on?
No,
what else?
No, you know, it's funny about this guy who wanted to do this kind of film, because a friend of mine, Lucio Rojas, is a director from Chile. He did what
that's where my father's from. Did you know that? My father's actually from Chile.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
You're yeah.
I can't speak. I used to speak Spanish until I was like 6.
Yeah.
And then I just lost it all because you know, my mother is not Spanish speaking, so they didn't really speak Spanish in the house. And then you know, you go to school and you're just speaking English, and then you just kind of lose it all, you know. But you know, I still know like colors and numbers and barnyard animals.
Oh,
but sorry, please continue about your story.
That's great. I mean, if you, I'm sure you still speak Spanish. It's a matter of practicing, using your brain. I mean, it's a matter, but that's great.
Yeah, maybe I should go to South America and try to see if that comes back to me, because I do feel like it could. You know, it's like there is a lot there. You know, I think it's probably just a lot of just like the grammar and like the little words, like, you know, like sort of you know, because or therefore or like after, like just like the little words of putting together sentences. Like I know like a lot of nouns, right? Anyways, sorry, man. Let's get on with your question.
No. But this is I like that. Let's talk. I mean, I really the idea here is just to have fun. That's why I brought my mate in Argentina, in Mendoza also. When you bring mate is like, let's have a beer, but you know, it's the same meaning. But I was saying, well, now you have the excuse to come on June. I hope you change your mind and you come on Juno, Buenos Aires. I will take you to a lot of restaurants. Actually, we went yesterday to a pizza place in Argentina. Oh, amazing! You will enjoy it. Do you enjoy meat, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's the thing about what I hear about Argentina is that like you can always get a good steak. Like you'll go to like a really good restaurant and you'll be like, oh, this is a good steak, or you'll go to just some like place, like, you know, in the country, and then you'll get a steak and you'll be like, oh damn, this is just as good as that other place, you know, like just good steaks all around, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's what they tell me. And my cousin is he's a chef himself, so he kind of does Argentinian style barbecue in the summertime when I visit. Good shit, man. Like just the whole spread. It's some of my favorite memories are favorite food related memories are at his barbecues.
Oh, so, but you never came, you came to Mendoza or not? He went.
I never came. I'm just saying, like the Argentinian style barbecue in his in Toronto, you know.
Mm. Well, no, it's that's interesting. Well, if you we hope you can come. We will well, you know, the tradition of the barbecue also in Argentina is like the hangout. I don't know in Canada or in Taiwan what do they do, but here is,
well, for barbecue, of course. I mean, you know, you're outside and you have to wait for the food and you're drinking, you know, and you're drinking, you're hanging out, you're telling stories, you're having fun, you're smoking. It's all a good time, you know.
No, I was telling you about this Chilean director, Lucio Rojas. He did a film called Trauma, that it was called the Chilean Serbian film, right? And
everyone says that, like, it's that opening scene where the guy has sex with his dead mother.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a good movie, actually, but I think that everyone, like, he was smart because he put that scene right at the beginning. So, like, you know, anyone who just puts on that movie immediately is just like, oh my God, you know, oh my God, this is the craziest thing in the world. But to be honest, like, I think that that's the craziest part of the movie, like that opening scene, right? And then the rest of it kind of plays out a little more conservatively, although it is very well made. Like that, I think I admire that film quite a bit. But it's interesting. Like, I like that stuff. How they, you know, like a lot of, I don't know, I'm not sure. Like, you know, to be honest, I don't watch as many South American films as maybe I should. But it seems to me like a lot of them tend to be like more political than like there's always or maybe I'm fucked up. Maybe I'm just like, I'm thinking of just like Spanish language films, because I'm thinking of like, you know, like Trauma, and I'm thinking of like, you know, fucking like any film that Guillermo del Toro has made, you know, like the Mexican director, like I know it's not the same thing, but like, you know, there's always some shit about like fascism or something going on with like the government or like the military or something. You know what? Let's cut this part out. No, I'm just joking. You can keep it in, but
no. In part, it's true. A lot of films in general, in any genre in Latin America, have to do with not fascism but the dictatorships. Why? Well, it's like Hiroshima for the Japanese. I mean, it's something that clearly has affect the society of Latin America, because at the same time there was a dictatorship. And in Chile in particular, it was someone. I mean, Lucio is a gore fan. All his films are about gore and always the same actor killing people. Daniel Antivilo is the guy, the you know, the killer in Trauma, and plays the killer in all of his film. But yeah, I talked with Lucio, and he wanted to use Trauma because in Chile there are still people, I mean, like 40 years later, that they support the dictatorship, and it's a very conservative society. So in a way, what Lucio wanted to do is to do this, to say, well, fuck it, we're going to change this. That's why the lesbian scene in the beginning also, it's kind of a provocation. And actually in Chile, he wasn't able to put his films in the cinema. He's completely banned. I mean, that's the kind of thing that happened. And he wanted to do that in order to do that. But no, I mean, in some cases, they don't. I mean, you can track a lot of cultural things. For example, there's an amazing Colombian film called The Squad. The director passed away recently. I mean, it was very sad for everyone. Because I had the chance to meet him. He did a Colombian film about the militaries, but not about the dictatorship. It's about a group of militaries that end up in a mountain looking for the guerrilla, and they find out something else. But it's kind of, or there's the horror folk, Loose Flower of Evil, amazing. That's more like magical realism with kind of gore. So you will find a lot of things. The problem is Guillermo del Toro is more like mainstream. So you will find a lot of things, different things, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know. Like, it's funny when I said Guillermo del Toro, you're like, like you were like, oh, that's mainstream.
No. I mean, I love Guillermo actually, but the thing is, Guillermo, it's a particular style, right? I mean, I love but for example, in Mexico, but it's about also, I mean, in Mexico, if you see Cita Lopez, you know, Tigers Are Not Afraid. It has to do with social, you know, different, the poverty, people marginalized. Huh?
So that's another Raven Banner film. Tigers Are Not.
Yeah, because I talked with the guys from Rubber Banner. They have a good relationship with a lot of directors in Latin America. because again, they're still finding all these guys. Well, Pussycat from Pablo Perez, it has been doing crazy films, but with a lot of quality, with nothing. Actually, the budget of Pussycat was $5,000, and you watch the film, it looks like 1 million, and say, how can I do it? Well, he has been doing films since he was 12. He's kind of great. You should talk with this guy because I mean, he can do anything. I mean, with nothing. I mean, and again, so for them, it's okay. How much do you need to do another film? Well, Terrifier by Demian Rugna, he was bought by Shudder, and Shudder couldn't believe they did the film with nothing, so they say, okay, let's do another one. So they start doing like that.
Yeah. No, it's there's a lot of fucking there's a lot of talent coming out of South America for sure. I find there's a lot of like I mean, like there tends to be a lot of like sort of like torture kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like that for some reason that seems like, but maybe that has a lot to do with sort of, well, it definitely has a lot to do with like political like just political concerns, you know, like there are certain sort of kinds of violence that are just going to click with an audience, and just sort of that idea of like someone strapped to a chair in a room and being tortured is for some reason like South Americans or Latin Americans in general are just kind of like, oh yeah, this is my kind of movie, you know.
Yeah. Well, it has to do because well, a lot of people well now no, but a lot of people like a friend of my father, grandfather actually were tortured. So that's a thing. It's kind of a, but in case of Mexico, it's different. For example, if you see Tigers Are Not Afraid, this is who we are, a Mexican film you should watch. It's about you know, poor people that they don't have nothing to eat because, you know, in Mexico, well, in general in Latin America, we have a problem with poverty, and you know, because of the, again, that's another thing we have to deal with. So these families start, you know, eating people to survive. But it's not like, you know, a cannibal, you know, the movie like, you know, The Hill Have Eyes. No, it's more like a social movie.
Wait, what's the movie called?
This Is Who We Are. There's an American version. Don't watch it. Watch the Mexican version. It's better.
I've seen both versions. Is it called This Is Who We Are or We Are Who We Are?
We are who we are. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you know, I saw both of them. I think that maybe I'm wrong, but I think I preferred the American one.
Yeah, well, a lot of people say that. I mean, I enjoy a lot the original because it has a lot of you know, things. But yeah, it's better than. But as you can see, this is a kind of, well, again, Tigers Are Not Afraid. It deals with the poverty. Like, you know, the guy from Korea who made Parasite, he's always talking about different, you know, income classes and all that. I think it has to do with culture. But again, you have a guy like Pablo Perez that don't give a shit about all that. Actually, he's like apolitical. He's only complaining about this kind of film. So he made Pussycat that is just to have fun and very entertainment. So that's
like you know, like this is a Spanish guy, but a director that I really admire, like a director who makes like Spanish language films that I admire a lot is Alex de la Iglesias.
Yes, the Alex. Yeah, I know him.
I really like that show he has. Is it what Trenta Monedas, I think it's called in Spanish? Man, that show's so fucking good. Like somebody told, you know where I heard about that? I heard about that show on the Severin Films podcast.
Yeah.
So for some reason one of the guys was like, oh man, I just watched the new fucking episode of 30 Coins. It's the best fucking show. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I used to really listen to listen to that podcast because the first half of it was them talking about whatever they're releasing, and the second half was just them playing like the music from the stuff that they had recently acquired. And it was sick. Like a lot of that music was like really cool. Anyways, why did I bring that up? Oh yeah, so he brings up 30 Coins, and I start watching that show, and I'm just like, this is it's really actually quite a lot like a sort of a European comic, like like Dylan, you know that the comic Dylan Dog?
Yeah.
It's kind of like sort of this thing where it's uh like a sort of a supernatural kind of X-Files, like a X-Files thing, but it's Catholic, like Catholic X-Files. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what a fucking good idea. And then so everything's all like coded with religious iconography, but it has this sort of there's a lot of emphasis given to sort of like cute comedy in it as well. Like the tone of it, like I love that, man. That show is really great. I can't wait until season 2. Is season 2 out yet? I've only seen season 1.
I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. But now Alex is working on another film. You should work the first films of Alex. The Day of the Beast and that amazing.
Yeah. What's that one with Javier Bardem? Like, and it's like them. It's almost like a. You know the guy from No Country for Old Men?
Yeah. I think you're talking about Pedrita Durango.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the film, but it's like him and then some woman like driving around.
The name of the film is Pedrita Durango. That's
okay. I can't. My memory. I should probably watch that again because my memories of that film are like very vague, but I remember Day of the Beast for sure. Because of the metal guy, the guy who owns the record shop. I'm just like, oh, cool. There's like a metal guy in a movie, some metal representation. But anyways, yeah, that guy's cool as fuck. I like that director quite a bit. I'd like to see him get like, you know, like bigger budgets and do like sort of bigger stuff, and maybe even, you know, kind of move into you know, like how Korean directors kind of move into like American productions and do like Snowpiercer and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like do sort of like more international kind of like, I guess international / English language productions that I guess mean you know, bigger budgets and whatever. But
yeah, well, actually, they gave him the chance, and he did a film called the Oxford Crimes. That was an adaptation for a novel, but he told me that the experience of working with, you know, international English producers he lost a lot of freedom, you know, in many ways. So, but in Spain, he gets a lot of budget. I mean, for Spanish productions, he's like one of the directors that receive a lot of money because he has built an audience. So, and the people and he prefers to do like that, to do like this original, use his style, you know, and I actually agree with him because I prefer this kind of film.
It's just like with in that show, sometimes the special effects just kind of aren't there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like the monsters and like the CG effects and stuff in that show are just like, it's just like I wish it was just at that level, but it's sort of not. You could probably make the argument that it's like, oh, you know, it adds to the show, it makes it more, gives it a charm or whatever, but I don't know, I would prefer it if it was just, but anyways, whatever. Yeah, like a great director, one of my favorite like filmmakers that does like Spanish speaking films for sure.
Would you like me to introduce you to him? Maybe you can talk and talk. He will tell you, I know what he will tell you about the effects. That's a Spanish word for when the effects are not good. It's in Spanish from Spain, it's a slang, is cutre. Cutre is like something that is not so good quality, but it's on purpose in a way. But you cutre.
I understand. Or I'll remember it. No, it's cool. He's you know, I follow him on Twitter and stuff. If I wanted to reach out, I'm sure I could link it up. It's all good. But yeah, I wouldn't even really know what to say to him. You know, just hey, I'm a fan. Yeah, man, that's basically it. I can't really think of can't really think of any.
If you want, I can. I always have a mail with a lot of films, directors. I can send it to you so you can explore new one.
Well, to be honest, you know, I stay pretty current with sort of what's coming out, especially like with like sort of Korean films, like Asian films, sort of in a broad sense. I like a lot of the films coming from like, I feel like Indonesia and Thailand not so much like anymore. They've kind of slowed down a little bit with their productions, but like you know, I have a friend in Indonesia, a fella named Timo Chajanto.
Yeah.
Like, familiar with his films. Like I really like kind of the sort of almost like the he's building sort of this identity for like the Indonesian action film that I think is becoming almost like a national identity, you know, like he's doing it single-handedly. And so you know, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that I stay pretty on top of kind of what's coming out in Asia and in you know, coming out from like the major festivals and stuff like that. But as far as like Spanish language films from Spain and also from South America and Latin America, like I don't really have like I don't really have a good sense of kind of what's going on. So like if you wanted to send me something like that, I'd appreciate that. Just because like just send me like the top 5, you know, of the last like 5 years, and I'll watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, with Christian and other directors, we always want to organize this kind of chats so we can, for example, I can tell Alex de la Iglesia, hey, you want to do a Zoom with Rob and with Christian or other directors, so we can have this exchange. It kind of, they're in a very interesting talks, and at the same time, they end up recommending films. It's kind of funny. If we want, we can organize that. That would be super fun.
I think that I wouldn't be able to keep up. I think that they, you know, you guys are, you know, I think that I've kind of fallen off with like right, you know, it's, you know, like when somebody asks you like kind of like what are your favorite bands right now, or like what are your favorite like movies right now, like I never know what to say. Like I'm always just like, I don't know. So like it's tough. Like you know, I don't. It's hard for me to kind of come up with good uh like speaking points like in those conversations, because like I can never really remember like what some good stuff that I've seen recently. And also this the stuff that like I really like is like I just have I'm the kind of guy who just goes back to like his favorite stuff a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, like for example, like I'll probably watch The Piano Teacher like probably like once a month, you know, like Michael Haneke is a piano teacher. Because I'm just like I love this film so much, you know, like and I always find something new in it when I watch it. And like I always, whenever someone comes over, I always force them to watch it. Like if they haven't seen it, it's like, you got to watch this. They're like, oh, The Piano Teacher, what the fuck's this shit? But anyways, the point is that like I never know what to say during conversations like that. And then as soon as I hang up the Zoom, I'll think of like a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, fuck, I should have said that, man. Fuck. But
well, don't worry. I mean, the idea is to have a fun and, you know, just talk. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, to, you know, it's like getting a barbecue. Actually, sometimes I get some meat here, or I eat while I'm doing that. So
just like eating like a drumstick.
yeah.
Well, how come this guy Chris down here is not talking? Come on, join in the conversation. You're staring at me, making me nervous.
There, and I have to go out. So, and I was just interested because Rob, I saw a lot of your interviews and stuff, and it was just interesting to hear you live. So I didn't want to add anything to the topics because I don't think I'll have another chance. Plus, it's fucking morning here, and for me, like 8 a.m. in the morning, it's like I'm tired. So I can stay up.
But if you just woke up, I should say that you look pretty good for just waking up.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. That's the only thing that I think, you know, like at least I look decent. Yeah. But I was interested in your points and the movies about, you know, Argentina and the political, as Rob, you pointed out. So I was just interested. I was just listening. I didn't add anything, but it's fine.
I'm doing my best here, man. You got to go? You have to go right now?
Yeah, I have to go. I have to bounce. I have to go. Yeah, I was supposed to go at 9. Now it becoming like 9:15 most likely. They're kind of busy these days. but it was interesting to hear you guys talk.
Yeah, I also
Cool.
wake up very early, but thanks to this, I'm.
You're good. We
Thanks
need
to
to
his,
find out what's inside the drink.
No, but well, I mean, no, but it's kind of neat. I mean, that's the whole idea. And what you mentioned Haneke. There's a film called Funny Games. I don't know if you watch it. Do you like that film?
yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, like it's the I love all of his films, but that one for me is like kind of the least complex. Like it's very easy to see the kind of sort of provocation that's being that's happening with that film. And it's like it's a very that film is doing one thing, I guess, is all I'm saying, right? Whereas like the piano teacher for me is this really beautiful kind of balance of a bunch of different things. And like and then like if you see something like his very first feature-length film, The Seventh Continent, right? Like, I mean, that film is so there's no other film like that film, right? Like there's I think that there's similar films to Funny Games. It's just that Funny Games like does that probably the best. Like there's a film that came out recently called Speak No Evil that I always like to think of that film as sort of just like a slightly less like sort of a slightly less impressive version of Funny Games. Like I think that Speak No Evil is like it's pretty good, but like when you compare it to Funny Games, it's just not doing what Funny Games does as well, I think. But like and then you look at sort of more recent Haneke, like The White Ribbon, for example.
Yes.
And it's like, and then you start to see like a very, very like a filmmaker, a very mature filmmaker, like making something that's like, you know, the message, like there's a lot of like very like hard hitting moments, like very how do you say that? Like just, you know, very impactful moments, but then it's sort of balanced within sort of like a lot of fuck man, I can't even fucking talk right now. I think I need to have another.
In this, I say goodbye. I really have to bounce.
Right.
So you keep digging into this thing. Please, guys, it was listening. I was just like, at least I look pretty. For people that would watch this, who the fuck is this guy that doesn't say shit? Like,
beautiful man right here.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye. Have fun.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Hold on. Let me think for a second here. Is he there? Was he? Okay,
yeah, I'm trying to close and leave. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. All right. Fuck. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the White Ribbon. I guess just kind of like you know, like what is he saying with that movie? That's the thing too, is like with I think I really do believe that like the best films are not ones where someone is trying to say something, but I think it's more about like observing something very closely and then trying to just do that observation justice. Like try to show something, try to choose a subject and then just try to show it as clearly as possible, right? And I think that with the well, again, the piano teacher, I think that's exactly what he does with that. And I think that with I mean, you know, a very sort of surface level very surface level examination of like White Ribbon is sort of like what's going on in this town, and the sort of the unrest or sort of the oppressive sort of small government of this town is ultimately what led to the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. and led to the First World War, right? And so like the First World War is like the result of sort of this crumbling of society. But I think that he's not really making that claim. I think that he's just kind of just showing sort of this like different sort of levels of like the evil of people, you know, like just sort of like evil at the family level, evil at the institutional level, at the religious level, at the government level. And it's just like just how like there's always rot happening, you know, like and it kind of manifesting through the children is sort of like is an interesting, almost like more horror than usual kind of thing, you know, like that and it's a way more subtle movie than a lot of his other movies, right? At the same time, that's a lot better. That's a lot more clear than what I was trying to say before. I'm glad that I was able to get that out. And then yeah, I don't know, like I said, I love all of his films. I think that he's probably he's definitely one of my most one of the filmmakers that I admire the most. I think that I think I could live to be like his age, and I wouldn't be able to make films as good as he does, you know. And so that just means he's just got better filmmaking genetics than I do, or something. It must be the Oscar.
And what do you like the most about The Piano Teacher?
Pardon me?
Why do you love so much The Piano Teacher? What is it about that really, makes?
Because it's so like it's so tragic, the situation that's going on in this woman's head, and it's not her fault, but at the same time it totally is, like and it's, I guess it's sort of this constant battle between in like sort of ego and intelligence, and then sort of emotion, and sort of like this thing that's happening in her mind that's unresolvable, and she thinks that she knows what she wants. She thinks if she does this thing, or if she can have these certain things from someone, then she'll be able to be happy, or have some sort of fulfillment in her life. But like then when she's actually confronted with those things, she's absolutely unprepared to accept them, and it's like and then she realizes it, and then she gets totally fucked over. I mean, I'm spoiling the movie. She gets totally fucked over by that guy, and treated like trash, and she asked for it. And there's also this sort of interesting conflict that happens, like from the audience, like as you're watching it, you're like, is he doing this because he wants to because he loves her? Is he doing this because he loves her, or is he doing this like because he kind of is like because he can do this and he can treat her like trash, and then if she says anything about it, he can be like, well, you asked for it, like, you know what I mean? Like there's this interesting sort of tension with that character. And then what happens is, like, after everything completely falls apart and she has no she's been stripped of all her dignity, then all that's left is sort of this this idea of maybe having revenge, or taking revenge at the very last scene. And then when she's denied that, not in any kind of grand way, but in a very flippant way, like the guy just says like, oh, hey, what's up? And he runs by her, and her feelings and her existence is entirely dismissed. And she realizes that she's nothing. Her life is completely meaningless. And then she just stabs herself in the chest and walks out into the street. And then the way that I interpret it, the implication is sort of like, probably they'll just find someone else to play the piano. You know what I mean? Like she's not even in that sense, she's not even that important. But we don't, we don't get the how do you say that? We don't get the confirmation that actually happens in the film. We just kind of we we're not given any kind of conclusion. She just leaves, and we're left with the tension of kind of like, well, how is this night gonna conclude? But we just see the credits crawl instead, and it's like, I don't know, like I guess that's why I like the film, man, because I think it's just it's a really serious look at sort of someone's emotions, and someone trying to deal with kind of this mental sickness, this grotesquity that's happening in her mind, that's just kind of grown over the years, and it probably has a lot to do with like her mother's influence, and it has to do with probably with this like sort of the strictness of her life as a piano student, and then later as a teacher, and I don't know, man, like there's so much to absorb when you're watching that film, and I just love that for me, that's really what a film is all about, is just kind of like empathizing emotionally with characters, and really kind of like getting at like let me talk about for a second Ari Aster's second film, Midsummer, right? Like there's a really interesting thing that happens in that film where the boy, like, a lot of people, it's like, oh, what's that film about? And it's like, oh, it's about fucking a cult, and in Sweden, and it's this crazy religious cult. But in fact, the film, well, okay, that is what the film is about. But like, what I like the most about it, and what really makes the film special for me, is how it's like this guy is about to break up with this girl, but then this insane thing happens to her. Like her whole family dies because her sister commits suicide and kills her parents, and it's just like this unbelievably horrible thing. And then what happens is he's sort of socially pressured, he's indirectly socially pressured to not break up with her, because if he breaks up with her, he's going to look like such an asshole, and no one else in the fucking school is going to want to fuck this guy, and all his friends are going to think he's a shithead, and she's going to hate him. She's going to want to fucking kill him for leaving her, how could you fucking do this to me, and so he decides to stay with her, and really what this is an act of weakness, and what's so interesting about it is that we've all experienced that. Like every single guy has stayed with a girl because they just don't want to have to deal with the messiness of like a breakup, so they'll stay with the girl, and it's the coward thing to do. So it really, as a like from there's a lot of things in that film that could be considered feminist or whatever, like, or appealing to the female perspective, but like I really think that any man going into that film and watching it is like or like across the board, you're automatically confronted with sort of the time in your life where you were a coward, and I think that is the really, really special thing about that film, because very few films talk about that. Very few films like bring up that subject, so I thought that's like, again, that's what I like about films is let me put it this way. My favorite films are like ones that do that, where they kind of make you think about a particular kind of emotional thing that you've experienced, but you never really thought, like you never really sort of examined, like you never really looked at closely before, because there's a lot of things that you just feel, and you just feel them, and then you just try to get past them. Yeah. But when you sort of have a film that kind of really looks into that, or it gives you the perspective from the outside, then it allows you to kind of think about it differently, and maybe you might even learn something, God forbid, from a film. But anyways, yeah, so I like that's what I like about The Piano Teacher. And
no, but I agree with Midsummer. Actually, I felt the same thing about when that happened to this character. and also in the end, that it's supposed to be a horror film, but in the end, I felt good for the girl, for the character, because in a way, it's a process of finding a new family. And in the end, when everything is burning, I understood that the past is burning. She's like literary in this case.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah, I feel like that aspect of it is like it's so like it's so clear in its interpretation. Like there's only one way to sort of look at that, you know, and it feels I guess like I love the whole movie, and I love the way, I love the ending, I love the whole thing. I guess I just feel like the problem that is established is a lot more interesting than the resolution, you know.
yes,
The resolution just kind of feels like, okay,
yeah,
sure, but the problem that's set up is like oh wow, like I don't know that I've seen like I love that too when you go into a film and maybe you've even you know smoked a little marijuana, and then you sit down in the theater, and then like and you the film gets so like, you know, there's it gets so kind of personal that you actually get really uncomfortable, and you're like, oh my god, this film's getting a little too
yeah,
real. Like that's the best. Like that's that sort of uncomfortable feeling because the film is like is this film reading my mind? You know, like
yeah,
it's like comfort. I love that shit.
yeah.
When something really affects you, it doesn't happen to me as much anymore. So when it does happen, I'm like, thank
Wow,
God,
yeah.
I'm still alive. I'm still participating. I'm still
Yeah.
participating in society to some degree.
It also have to do with the situation in your life, because sometimes you watch a movie in one period of your life, but doesn't affect you, and then you rewatch it and you experiment in a situation. That happened to me with a film, the Woody Allen film called Vicky Cristina Barcelona with Javier Bardem, that will say,
Uh-huh.
okay, it's about relationship, but I watch it in a very particular, situation of my life.
Yeah.
So I feel so bad. I mean, it says, oh my God, he understand what I'm, experimenting, and I love when that happens, and I understand. You feel alive, and again, you start like analyzing and over analyzing and trying to separate the different layers.
Yeah, it's the best. And that's kind of, I mean, it's not, you get this from films, but really you get this from any kind of
Media, yeah,
story. So sometimes you'll read a book and you experience something like this, or like I remember you kind of gave me a memory of I remember when I was like in probably like, you know, just out of college, like maybe like I was like 20, I don't know, 24 or something, 23, 24. I had like I broke up with like my college girlfriend, and it was like difficult, you know, like really difficult for me. And I was like, and it's like you don't have any kind of real like basis upon which to kind of you don't know how to deal with it because you've never dealt with it before, right? So you're just like, and you're making all these stupid mistakes, and like they're the kind of things too that like when you see younger people doing the same stuff, you get so embarrassed because it reminds you of like yourself. You know? I hate myself, but like I remember I started reading Swamp Thing, like that the Alan. Do you know the comic book Swamp Thing? Like, I started
yeah,
reading the Alan Moore Swamp Thing comics, and I like I've never been like as healed by a piece of media as I was by the 6 volumes of like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing from like I think like 84 to 87 or 86 or something. But just like sort of this journey of like this swamp monster figuring out that he's not actually half man, half plant. He's actually all plant, and in fact, a plant elemental, and he's actually just a sort of a frequency of energy that can sort of interface with like the plant world, you know, and just how deep that the whole story goes, and like because it's like it basically starts like the first issue starts with that concept, which is insane, and then like it takes it all the way through 6 volumes, and I became almost like a I don't know, like you would have thought that I was like had like Asperger's or something at that time of my life, because I'd go to like a party and all they would talk about is just Swamp Thing. I could be like, hey, I'm reading this comic right now, and I just start telling whoever would listen, they just tell them about Swamp Thing for like literally 45 minutes. I'd just be talking about that, and they'd just be like, cool, man, you know. And anyway, the point is that that was another very like seminal piece of storytelling that that I had in my life at that point. I can't really think of other ones, like sort of, I mean, of course there are like, but what it is that like I think that the thing with films is that generally speaking, like the films that are the most that do that the most are probably do that to everyone. So like we probably all have like probably the great films that people who really love films would name. There's probably going to be a lot of overlap, like we're all gonna like we all have sort of this crazy sort of experience, like the first time you watch, like I don't know, like a Stanley Kubrick, like 2001, or the first time you watch like The Godfather or whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's like the great films are great films like for a reason, because like we all kind of felt the same way when we saw them, but once in a while you'll catch one that's sort of a little bit like kind of off the beaten path. For me, it's like The Piano Teacher was one that I really, something about it just really, put a knife in my brain and just made me go like, holy fuck, like you can't, there's so much to examine. Anyways, help me out, prompt me. We need to move the conversation on here.
No, it's okay. I really enjoy that. That's the idea. I mean, I was thinking about myself and which were the films. And again, you can watch the film, you can recommend the film. I remember doing the same thing with another Alan Moore comic book, graphic novel, Watchmen. Before the Zack Snyder adaptation, I was in a very depressive state of mind, like 15 years ago. I read the Watchmen graphic novel, and I spent almost 40 minutes, 60 minutes explaining all these conflicts of the characters. Also, it happens, and another period of my time with a movie called Ink, I-N-K, that you will watch it right now and say, okay, it's a pretty indie film by Jamie Winans. It's a indie fantasy film, but the moment I watch it, I felt so identified with the character because of my personal situation, that actually I contacted the director. I became friends with the actor who plays the character in 2009 Ink by Jamie Winans.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So you became friends with Christopher Soren Kelly?
Yeah. Actually, with Chris, yes, we speak all the time. Actually, I wrote a story in that period of time because I was so depressed that I expressed that in a short story. Short story, we're talking about, very, very short. So I decided to do an animation, very simple. I say, Chris, would you like to narrate this? And he made an amazing job. And also the music, and we come up with this short film called Death and the Clock. It's about someone who experiment time jumps, so his life is all the time accelerating more and more. So he's now reading a book. He's 40. I know he's 25, and suddenly an hour passes, and he's like in his 40, and then in his 50, and he cannot stop it. That's what I felt, right? And he do it amazing, actually. And a lot of people respond. I'll send it to you if you want. He does an amazing job as a narrator. I sent it to one of my childhood heroes because I spoke with him recently. I spoke with Phil Tippett. I don't know if you heard of him.
Of course, the Star Wars Mad God guy.
Yeah, Mad God. Yeah. So when I spoke with him, because we have a friend in common, and he says, "You're going to depress a lot of people with this." To say, "Oh, that's the nicest thing someone told me."
Yeah, you must have been over the moon for that one.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I almost fainted. I almost say.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wish you would fucking say that to me. I was gonna say, uh, there was fuck. I lost my the thing I was gonna say. It was something about, um, it was something about a film. Oh yeah, I remember now. It was you ever see a film called Upstream Color?
I don't remember Upstream.
So there's a guy called Shane Carruth, and he did like Primer. Remember that the time travel movie
Yes,
Primer?
yes, I love that film.
I think it's cool, but like I think it's an okay film because the conceptually it's interesting, but like as a watch, I find it kind of like like I don't know. I just I guess
I understand.
from the film generally like and I also understand that like the style of that film is supposed to be kind of mundane, like the idea of like the mundanity or the mundanity of time travel. Like, that's an interesting kind of idea, but like, hey, mundane is mundane, and I'm not here to look at some mundane shit. My fucking life's mundane. I want to watch some cool shit. So that's very beautifully remedied in a film that he made. I believe it's his follow-up to Primer, called Upstream Color. Another film that's kind of about to talk about what this film is about is difficult because it's almost like this like life cycle of a spore or like a kind of bacilli or something like this. And it's like, so first of all, it's like this powder that like you can give to somebody, and it I think it's there's something similar to it. It's like you blow like a powder in someone's face, and then all of a sudden they become very suggestible. Like you can be like, hey man, what's up? And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go to the ATM and just empty out your bank account to me, and then let's go back to your house, and then give me all your money and your jewelry, and and then like I'm gonna, so yeah, thanks, I'm gonna take all your, they'll help you, like to give you all their stuff, and then the guy goes away, and then all of a sudden that person wakes up and they're just like, what the fuck happened, like, and all their money's gone, and so that this happens to like this woman, but it turns out that the that's just the first step in this life cycle of this plant, because like then later what happens is that like I mean, oh fuck, I kind of don't want to give it away
That's
away.
Okay, that's okay.
But the point is that like it's two people who have had this done to them, and then they kind of connect like completely by accident, and then but then there's sort of this connect, like, okay, listen, you just watch this movie, it's really good. Another movie that's Upstream Color, that's definitely a big recommendation. Here's a more contemporary movie that I thought was really interesting, was Bones and All. God, what's the director's name? Like Luca Guadagnino or whatever his name is, that guy. So yeah, I really love that movie a lot because I found it to be like just like a really solid like romance film that was kind of like helped with these horror elements. Like the horror elements were used to make the romance kind of more robust and more like abstract it into a place where it becomes like really, really powerful and like it highlights certain things, like this idea that like these kinds of like, I guess, like predatory humans, they just by nature of what they are tend to leave, like they tend to be sort of like oddball weirdos, like, and you go across the country, you meet a lot of them, and they're all kind of weird fucking people, and then and you can see kind of how they live kind of solitary lives because they are just weird, and then two of them just sort of end up falling in love, and like that is like, given, you know, like two normal people being able to find love like that is unlikely, but like two people like this being able to find love is like a miracle, like a complete miracle.
Yeah.
It's this very like effective romantic story, and then also it addresses sort of this idea of like loneliness, like with that older guy, the older character.
Yeah.
He understands what they understand, except he doesn't have what they have. You know, like he understands the like the crippling loneliness of living this kind of life, you know, and he thought that maybe he could kind of have some sort of connection with someone, but he's unable to do that. And then he becomes the villain at the end. Like, man, like I got a lot of that movie too. Like in terms of, like I was saying before, like sort of a very, very interesting kind of, I think that guy, that director is like really good at that. And I think he gets it. Like even like Calling Me by Your Name is like that. Like it's hard to dismiss that movie. Like it's just kind of really good. And he also did the Suspiria remake too, right?
Yeah.
That one, okay. That one I feel is maybe the one I like that movie, but I don't get it maybe as easily as the other two. But and if I had to really think about it, I probably would say his best film is probably Call Me by Your Name, if I had to pick one, just because it's like it's the most it's just the most accomplished, like in terms of like, you know, what it does, like what, you know, what the impact that it has. Anyways, yeah, but yeah, I think if you're like a horror guy, like if this is like a horror show, that this internet show that you do, so if you're a horror guy.
No, I just talk about films. I love sci-fi horror, and I love these genres because when you use it well, like you describe Bones and All, and I love that film for the same reason, because they use the elements of horror just to tell a story, a love story, and to highlight it in a way that it really gets you. And I love when they use the genre, because the problem is, I'm a very sensitive person, so that's why I do this kind of story. If you see what I have done, these short films, so if you see, we say, okay, say your favorite horror film, and I will mention drama horror, not like gore or something. Like I would say Jacob's Ladder, I would say Let the Right One In, Border, the Swedish film. I would say Nocturna, by the Argentinian film by Gonzalo Calzada, about these two old guys who are in an apartment. I mean, they are abandoned by their kids. They start seeing ghosts. Okay, there's a horror element, but he's senile at the same time. So he's something paranormal, but at the same time he's senile, and the performance. So I have this. I mean, I really enjoy when they use the horror, sci-fi, fantasy elements just to highlight to
For sure.
the human story, right? And I'll mention something like
honestly, like the best horror films are films that do that, because if you can find like if your objective is to like make like a horror film, then like probably your best bet is to sort of like try to find something that's like really uncomfortable or really scary in real life, and then just sort of use a fantasy or a sci-fi kind of motif to kind of to kind of as you say, like highlight or to sort of bring forward the elements that you feel are important, you know. There was so film. Have you ever? I mean, okay, you've definitely seen like pretty much all the films of Stuart Gordon, right?
Yes, of course.
So like one that I think that people like really need to watch is Castle Freak. Is 1994. I love that movie so much. Kind of for like the same reasons that we're talking about, because I feel like I mean, the performances in that film are so kind of it's not like, like we all love Jeffrey Combs, we all love Barbara Crampton. Like Jessica Dollarhide's fucking sick. The Italian actors that they got for that film, the character actors were very good, I would say. Like the acting in that film, I would say is good, but it's like if the film had been done maybe without maybe if the soundtrack had been different, maybe if it was kind of, I don't know, like it feels like the story of that film and like the characters and like the writing and the dialogue and the message of the whole film, if that had been handled in a little bit more of a serious way, it could have been like an amazing, great film, because this idea of this guy who's been locked in a dungeon for his whole life and just been beaten by his mother and never known love and never known like intimacy or anything, society, that never learned how to speak, and his mother cut his dick off, and like it just like the worst thing that the worst life that a person could have, and then he gets out of the fucking dungeon, and all he wants is just, I mean, he's immediately just tries to have some sort of closeness, like that's his whole thing. It's not like he's like a killer. Initially he's just trying to find someone to hold him and to embrace him and give him like the love that he never got from his mother, but then like when he doesn't get that, he reacts like an animal because he is an animal. Man, that movie's so good. Like I love that movie so much, and it just kind of when I was in LA last, I actually I spent some time with Barbara Crampton, just hanging out, like having like at a restaurant with some people, drinking, eating, talking, and stuff. And I think she does really feel the same way. I think she feels like that performance was like probably her best, and like the most, like in her sort of for lack of a better word, her sort of like premiere body, like people think of like, oh yeah, Reanimator, they think From Beyond, they think, and then maybe they think Castle Freak, but like Reanimator, From Beyond are like the ones at the top. But I really do think that she is very proud of that performance in Castle Freak, especially like because the final scene, if you recall, the final shot of that movie before the credit crawl is just her face, the cop and the son of the dead prostitute walking down the street. She's looking at it. I always liked that. I always thought that was like just the perfect way to end that film. Just kind of like, she's like just considering considering the concept of like children, and like really thinking about it. It's cool as fuck. But yeah, like that movie is that's another one actually. You know what? To be honest, I can put that also on the list. Piano Teacher, fucking The Swamp Thing Saga by Ellen Moore, Castle Freak. Those are like three big sort of emotionally impactful films or pieces of media in my life. So yeah, that's what I got so far. Anyways, yeah, like what else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about anything else?
Well, yeah, I was going to. You mentioned Bones and All as a love story highlighted by the horror elements. There's a film, but I mean, I love Quentin Tarantino films, but there's one I love it, and I understand because it's a love story. It's my favorite film, and everybody complains that. Yeah,
Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's a love story highlighted. I mean, it's about two people that are old. Their lives are they have shitty lives, and they found each other in a period of their life, like everything is lost. And I found
they're old. They're kind of like past their, like they've both kind of been like, well, I never really found love, but oh well, I mean, like there are probably worse things in life than not finding love. Like, and they've already like they've already sort of consigned to defeat, you know?
Yeah,
But then
and they live in a shitty world. I mean, they live surrounded by assholes. I mean, by you know, low lifers, whatever. I mean, but I think all these characters, this background, they help to say, okay, but between all these, you know, rotten world, they find each other. I mean, and that's what I make this comparison with Bones and All, because in a way they are living in a shitty world with these shitty characters, and they find each other. And the last scene,
miracle, basically, like it's this sort of like
yeah,
this complete, total, like, you know, like a thread and a needle
yeah,
in suspended in water that just managed to get
yeah.
through, like it's a complete, like a miracle of like a statistical miracle, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, whatever you call that. I was also going to say, like, just with Quentin Tarantino too, his most recent film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is actually, I really do believe it's his finest film. Like I love Jackie Brown too, and you know, it's, I guess, sort of like in terms of like the scale and scope of that film, it's just so effective, and it runs like a perfectly oiled engine, you know. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is much more ambitious and much bigger and grander, and it has more moving parts, and it doesn't function quite as smoothly as Jackie Brown does, but the best parts of it are just like amazing. Like I was just talking about this the other day with my friend. I was like, you know, having a moment where I was just like remembering and being like, oh, like how I felt when I first saw that fucking movie, when the Leonardo DiCaprio's character goes on to that cowboy show, and he can't get his line right, and he has that freak out in the trailer, and then he ends up, oh, and also he has that talk with that little girl, and the little girl, and he's just like, this little girl is more of a professional than I've ever been in my life, you know, like, and he just feels old, and he feels like a failure, and he it's hilarious, like just this how pathetic this guy seems in this scene of this film. And then he goes and he fucks up his lines, then he goes and has that freak out in the trailer, and then finally he pulls himself together, and then he has that, you know, he actually delivers he has a couple of false starts, but then he's able to like deliver the lines and finish that scene in the show. And then that little girl comes up, and she's like, that was the best acting I've ever seen in my life, right? He starts crying. It's so fucking good. It's so funny. And like that whole sequence is just like, this is why we watch this guy's movies, and why we keep coming back to them, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's so perfectly engineered, like to make you feel that way, you know. Man, that guy's so good at character kind of stuff like that, you know. And also like but the thing is too is like you know, there are scenes that are like, you know, less effective, like the scene at the ranch. It's cool, but it's not on the level of that one. In my opinion, it's not on the level of that one on the set of that cowboy show. And then the final bit where he's like killing everybody, like where Brad Pitt's like killing all those kids in the room, and he's like smashing their face and stuff. For me, and then the Leonardo DiCaprio's like killing the girl with the flamethrower. For me, like all that shit is just like, it's just like big question mark. Like I don't understand. This doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of this movie. Like, and I don't feel kind of like I don't feel like catharsis with this. It just feels kind of like weird and cheap to me, you know. Like that, I get disagreed with a lot with this sort of thing. Like, oh, that, you know, that's the whole point. It's supposed to be like that. I'm just like, I don't know. If that's the whole point, then I guess I don't get the point or whatever, you know. But like, it just sucks. Like how, like when did a Quentin Tarantino movie, and like, you know, like Jackie Brown doesn't end with a big fucking bloodbath, you know, like it's almost like
the final scene of Jackie Brown is a masterpiece, because everything is said without dialogues. When he
right.
when she invites us to go to Spain with her, and you feel, I say, you appear in my life too late. I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of you because you're afraid of me a little, but she's not afraid of her. She's afraid of the situation because he's kind of a comfort zone. He has been in this comfort zone that this life he hates, but now he's afraid of leaving that comfort zone, that shitty comfort zone, right? And
it's like when a guy gets released from prison and he doesn't know if he can go he doesn't know if he can deal with freedom, that kind of thing.
Yes, but in this case, with affection, with love, with a woman that loves him, right? And it's so. I mean, no. That's why it works, because again, and there is no dialogue. I mean, you just understand, and then what he's passing through. I mean, that's. I love that. I'm an emotional, sensitive guy, as I told you, and I enjoy that's filmmaking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a big softie, man.
Yeah, of course. So am I. Of course, I love horror. Yeah, but deep down, if you analyze most of the things I love, but you too are a softie. I mean, you met the sadness.
No, like the thing is that like, I mean, if you start with the assumption that like the best films are the way, the best films are the way they are because of the comprehension of like emotions and how they work and how they how sort of maybe a certain series of emotions and how they like one thing balanced against another and like just all these things, all these different variables, but like ultimately it's sort of just maybe not an understanding of emotions, but at least sort of like an interest in looking at them. Like if you have that interest and like you have a predisposition towards like storytelling, I think that's like the best, the most interesting work comes from people like that. That's the way that this is the way that I kind of look at storytelling. Like I'm always thinking about sort of like how, I don't think about how someone, it's hard to explain, or it's hard to sort of put into words. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, a lot of time with when you're trying to write a story, you kind of assume that a character is going to feel a certain way because just you've seen a character do that before in another movie or something. But like to actually sort of stop and really think about it and maybe try to add something in your own. I mean, back to Guillermo del Toro, like I mean, he has a great story about one time he jumped over a fence and he ended up like stabbing his armpit on the top of a spike, and then it prompted him into having a scene where someone stabs someone in the armpit or whatever. Another, like in Pan's Labyrinth, when the guy busts the guy's face with a bottle, but a bottle doesn't break, and he was shocked sort of at a bottle that you would expect to break not breaking and being used as a bludgeoning weapon instead. Like that sort of shock, like that's sort of, it's not quite we're talking about emotions, and this isn't quite exactly what I'm talking about, but like I guess the point is like adding things from your real life, like for example in The Sadness, there's a part where like a guy's arm gets broken on the side of on the stairs, right? I remember when I was like in high school, I saw that happen to some kid. Some guys broke a guy's arm on the curb, just drunk, like just there was a fight, and some guys just all grabbed this kid and broke his arm just like that on the steps, and I was fucking horrified, like you know what I mean? And I don't think I mean, I guess that scene is like, ugh, like it kind of makes you do that, but like I don't know. I feel like I didn't really capture the horror that I felt when I actually saw that. Oh well, next time I'll do it better next time.
No, but that's the thing we're talking about, and with the piano teacher, I understand what you say about how this film can be analyzed, and you can see different layers. And some mistake I've been seeing in many, because I've been watching a long. I mean, I spend a lot of time watching indie films, festivals, mainstream film, and I think the most common mistake is to try to over-explain things by using dialogue instead of showing, instead of creating a scene. And that's I've seen an experienced director making that mistake, and I don't understand why. I think they are sometimes insecure, but it's beautiful when you can do something and find 10 people with 10 different explanation and interpretation. That's what I think.
It is. I mean, I think about that quite a lot, actually. I mean, if it was up to me, I would try to sort of make things, again, it's not about intentionally making things ambiguous. It's just about showing something as it is and trying to get as close to truth as you can, because if you just show truth, then you're opening it up to interpretation, as opposed to sort of like making a statement about something. I always hate that. Like, what is this film saying? What's the point? Like, what is the statement being made or whatever? It's like you just try to show like let me put it this way. With the the sadness is like a action horror gore film. I like to think that there's elements in it that are that I mean, listen, like, we premiered at Locarno, right? Like, we premiered at the Locarno Film Festival, and I like to think that, like, we were able to premiere at Locarno not because it was a gore fest, we were able to premiere because, like, the guys who run Locarno saw kind of the value of the total package of the whole thing. But I guess, like, my thinking with the sadness was, like, probably the best stance to take in terms of, like, the message is just a total, because I mean, the pandemic is so politically charged, right? I mean, even before, when we made the sadness, there wasn't even any vaccine politics. It was just like, kind of like, oh, is this just like, who created the virus? Is the virus even real? All this crap and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, how do you, like, what political stance do you take with something like this? And I found that the most like, I guess, responsible, for lack of a better word, stance to take was, like, the most nihilistic stance of just like, there is no right answer, and everyone's wrong, and the government doesn't have your best interest in mind. Your neighbors think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. Your doctor, the doctor, he comes at things with sort of a logical mind, but, like, the logical mind is the same mind that will sacrifice a bunch of babies in order to try to get a vaccine and be unsuccessful. So, like, there's not really there's no answer to any of this, and why should there be? Do we deserve an answer? Like, do we deserve anything? Like, no, this is just a shitty situation, and there's no solution to any of it. That's kind of like what I felt was the most responsible angle to take when putting that film together, because you always have to think when you're doing a story, like, what's this about? Not what is this saying or what message this is. Never that, but just what's this about? And I think that kind of idea of just like, there's no hope, and there's no correct answer. I think that keeping sort of that mentality throughout the film, or that stance, that sort of ideological stance throughout the film, was, like, important in order to I don't know, I guess to sort of to be fair or something like that, I guess, with the sadness, you know. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate, and maybe that's also what a lot of people dislike, you know. Maybe people are like, well, what's the point of the whole thing, you know? So, well, there's no point, you know, like what's the point of fucking anything? Who fucking cares? Life sucks. Kill yourself, you know, that kind of shit.
You know,
Anyways.
the thing I love the most about the sadness is not the you know, the all that, the gore, that the thing I love the most, and it really gets me, you know, it's the calm before the storm. Every, you know, zombie gore movie has the moment, the calm before the storm, right? It's a moment of tension when you know something terrible will happen. And for me, that moment in your film, the first maybe 20 minutes, when that was for me was brilliant. I mean, the tension, the fear of something terrible coming, it was something that really sticks. You know, I don't know how if you think about it, say, oh, I just did it, and but the reaction I got the first time I watched the film was something surreal. I mean, and
Yeah, that's good. Quite a compliment, you know. That's nice to hear. Yeah, like I mean that the opening 15 minutes for sure. It's very important. Like I made a decision early on that like I didn't want to when I always think of that what's his name, Alexandre Aja, the French director.
yeah,
I think of his film Crawl, the alligator movie,
yeah,
and I remember going to see that movie in the theater and uh, having a good time, but being so annoyed when uh, there would be those like flashback moments to like her father teaching her how to swim or whatever. Like he's like the coach or what, the swimming coach, and I was so like annoyed, like just so annoyed. It was like distractingly annoying that there kept being those scenes. And when I got the sort of the job to do the sadness, it was like I don't want to have any of that. I want once the shit gets going, I just want it to go, and I just want it to be like, okay, what do we have to do next? Okay, we have some time now. Okay, let me. Okay, oh shit, oh fuck, oh no, they're coming. Oh no, oh we have to go over here. Okay, what do we do now? Like just constantly just having to do something, you know, like that. That was kind of the idea of the film, for the main middle chunk of it, and you know, and then there's that sort of that part in uh, the maternity ward with the doctor at the end, that kind of that sort of slower part, and then it kind of picks up at the end, and then there's a finale. But like during like that part between like the oil on the guy's face all the way to like the part where she smashes the guy's head with the fire extinguisher, like that chunk, I wanted it just to be uh without any kind of like um like sort of forced character growth, because or like forced character kind of like insight, because in if that was really happening in real life, there wouldn't be any time for that. Like it would become this primal situation where you're just trying to survive, and you're just trying to, you know, figure, like, you know, it's very very animal, very like uh you know, like instinctual or reflexive, I guess. But the point is that uh I wanted to get all of that sort of characters. You have to set up these characters a little bit. We have to kind of know who they are. We have to kind of figure out a way to make the audience kind of at least like them or empathize with them in some way. And that all needs to happen in 15 minutes, because after this 15 minutes, we're not going to do that again. Like we're just going to go, you know? So I'm happy that the first 15 minutes kind of like,
yeah.
you
I
know,
remember the man in the roof, when he see the old man in the roof. That was that really is disturbing. It disturbed him a lot. I mean, when
that's good.
That's I don't know which one were your reference for that kind of scene, but it works. It works very well. I mean,
Yeah, it feels like I saw that movie. It feels like I took that from something, but I don't
yeah,
remember what it was.
I'm thinking where but it really works. It really works very well.
Maybe do you remember in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when like
Yeah,
Raphael is like shadow boxing on the roof, and then Casey Jones takes the binoculars.
yeah.
Like I don't know. Maybe that's the first thing I think of. By the way, I have to go pretty soon, but like
Oh,
no, it's okay. Like whatever, like maybe like five more minutes or something. But like um I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recently, like the original like 1991, and
yeah.
I fucking cried, dude. I cried like a fucking baby. Like I couldn't stop fucking crying for this movie. And I don't know, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like it was so weird because like I don't know if it's just sort of like a nostalgia thing. Like it's sort of there's a part of your brain that's like I don't know, like opening up or what, like like something that hasn't been tapped for a long time, and all of a sudden you just have this like insane, uncontrollable emotional reaction, or which I believe that this is the truth, is that it actually is like a really well written movie that sort of tackles this sort of idea of like brotherhood and like sort of father and son, really like Splinter and the Turtles, like the relationship, and also sort of like the relationship between like there's a thing in the in the movie where like early on uh so like Red Letter Media, like those fucking Wisconsin guys, it's this like they did like a they're just these YouTubers. They have like a pretty big following, but like they did sort of like a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles recently, relatively recently, like late last year, and like they didn't really. I didn't feel like they kind of like talked about it well enough. Like it was a bad kind of uh, a lot was left to be desired, I suppose, from the examination. But anyways, there's a part early on when like Michelangelo, Michelangelo and Donatello are sitting waiting for a pizza, and then like Donatello goes to Michelangelo. He's like, hey, Mikey, do you ever think about what Splinter said? About like him dying one day. And then Mikey's just like, hey, time's up. We get the free pizza. Like he doesn't like the thought of losing Splinter is so terrifying to him that he just doesn't even want to talk about. He doesn't even want to acknowledge it. He didn't hear it. And then like and this is like but then you also kind of get the sense too that Donatello and Michelangelo are kind of close. Like they're like uh they're like out of all the brothers, like all the brothers, they obviously love each other, but Donatello, Mike, it's almost like Donatello's older and he like looks out. He looks out for Mike. He's like kind of the brother that looks out for the smallest brother. And then there's a part later where they're at the farm and Splinter appears like in the blue flame, and he's like, I'm your father and I love you and all this shit. And after that vision disappears, it cuts to all the turtles, and it's like Leonardo's having like this like this experience of like he's alive, he's so happy, he's alive, he's not crying, he's like elated, he's so happy, like he's happy, like I can't, we saw him, he's alive, right? And then like Raphael's crying, and then it goes over to fucking Michelangelo and Donatello, and Michelangelo is just fucking like crying, so he's losing it, he's crying so hard, he's got his face covered, and Donatello's just like looking, like it's okay, like that. Like it's so funny because the movie like pays so close attention to like how these turtles would be feeling during this whole thing. It's so funny because it's like the amount of care given to these characters is like fucking it's almost like the movie doesn't deserve that, like just because it's this stupid movie made for 10-year-olds, but like the quality of like sort of writing and emotional motivation or whatever is so good. And it sucks that the fight scenes are kind of done for kids. Like it's all like you know, like he's got like the cymbals like for a drum, and he's like hitting it against the ninja's head. Like it's not. It'd be cooler if it was like just good, well choreographed kind of martial arts scenes, which there are some, especially towards the end. Like there's some really good stuff. I think that's a good movie, man. Like I think that's actually, you know, it's one of those things that, like you saw, and you probably saw like in your adult life, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. But like to as like a 40-year-old guy or like a 39-year-old guy going back and looking at Ninja Turtles from 1990, you'll be really surprised at how well it's written, and just how much care is given to this fucking stupid movie that's basically designed to sell cereal, you know? So and toys and all that shit. So
Well,
that's my final word on the.
no, really, I agree, and I remember watching it recently, and I will watch it again. Oh well, it was really nice talking to you, Robert. I mean, really, if you want, if we come to please come to Argentina. We have to hang out here. You have to try the mate.
Yeah.
We can talk. If you have the chance to come in June, I don't know. I know it's a long trip, but it would be great to have you here.
Listen, man, like if I was gonna go to Argentina, like it would be on like first of all, it would be on like a longer trip. Like I'd probably go to, like I'd visit my family, and then I'd probably, you know, visit my friends in Texas and in California, and then I'd go down to like South America, and I'd probably stay there for like a while, you know, like I would not like months, but like maybe like, you know, 3 weeks or something, like, you know, like a good sort of long vacation, just to get a sense of it, because like I haven't even been on the continent before, you know. So yeah, like I definitely would you know, it's something that I should do. I'm getting kind of old at this point. I should probably make it down to South America at some point, since like that's like kind of where my family's from and all that shit. Argentina and Chile. But anyways, yeah, man, it was nice talking with you. It's kind of fun to it's kind of fun to like just talk about whatever, and not just talk about like the sadness, which is cool. Sadness it came out like a while ago, and like I'm not, you know, I'm kind of over answering the same questions and shit.
So, no, I know that I mean, actually I do these Zooms just to, you know, talk to people that do these kind of films, because that's what I like to do. I mean, I do it here with friends. I get together, we eat empanadas, it's an Argentine food. We watch movies. We will watch the Ninja Turtles probably tonight because of that. And we get together with the directors of the film I told you about, and we start watching all films and talk, because this is what I mean. I'm sure you did that as a teenager. I mean, now you're a filmmaker, but I think everyone. I mean, the guys that watch these kind of films, or they become filmmakers, or they just enjoy watching and talking about these films. So that's the best thing. I mean, life is short, and you have to enjoy that little moments. That's my favorite time of the day, is when I get together with my friends to watch these movies, talk about them, and eat empanadas. I know.
Are empanadas Argentinian, or are they like, where do they, is there like a big debate about where empanadas come from? Because I always
know. Yes, they're from Argentina. No discussion. All right. Oh no, but you should try it. You should try it. But we have here very good empanadas.
I mean, my cousins used to make empanadas all the time, and my aunts used to make them too. Yeah, like I'm no stranger to empanadas. You know, like I'm from Toronto. Like there's plenty of Latin American representation in like you can buy empanadas in Toronto, no problem. You know, like it's a pretty easy sort of thing to find. But anyways, yeah, man, it was nice talking with you. It was a nice kind of break. Like I haven't had like a Zoom sort of interview thing in a while. So it was fun to just kind of like chit chat and talk shit and whatever. Yeah, and I'll fucking about you when I'm down South America, see where you guys are at, and we can go and eat some empanadas and
Yeah, that would be that would be great. Well,
do some cocaine, get some hookers, that kind of thing.
yeah. Well, let's keep in touch then. And well, we have by the way, in June we have the festival. I don't know if filmmakers in Taiwan that have made short films, because we are always trying to connect indie filmmakers. If they want to show their short films, they are welcome. I mean, I would love to discover new talent in Taiwan. I'm sure you know a lot. Young people trying.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I mean, like the thing about Taiwan. Well, I'll tell you before I go is that the thing about Taiwan is that, like, generally speaking, like the industry is sort of geared very much towards sort of like local market, like local. They're not really trying to sort of reach an international audience. They really aren't. Like they're it's really more just about like Taiwanese box office. We make films at a certain budget so that we can be guaranteed at least a chance to sort of recoup the budget and make a profit. Sort of like in recent history, like over the last, I'd say maybe like 25 years, there hasn't really been like a Taiwanese movie that's like done really, like, it's not like Korea or Japan where like a movie comes out and it's like, oh my God, like this worldwide sort of phenomenon. Taiwan just hasn't really had that. And because there's no precedent, the industry is pretty insular. So yeah, I mean, obviously, there's still people who make short films and want to be in as many festivals as possible, but it's just kind of like it's a different kind of mentality, like in terms of sort of like, oh, we're making films in Taiwan. If we're making films in Taiwan, we're making them for Taiwan, for Taiwanese people, for the Taiwanese general audience, So it's kind of like that's this thing. But yeah, like, I mean, I'll definitely keep an eye open. I definitely have met like a lot of people who are, extremely talented and like creative and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know. But why don't you go ahead and send me a list of like I said, like the five like must watch like Spanish language, or actually no, South American horror films, specifically horror films.
Like all range, drama, comedy, horror, drama, horror.
I'm interested. I'm specifically interested in just like really, really outstanding horror from South America. Okay. There's plenty of like. I think I'll start with that, and then maybe I'll be like, damn, okay, hit me up with some fucking comedy or whatever, But right now, I'm really interested in seeing the premiere horror films of the continent.
Okay, I will make the list and I'll send it to you.
So, man, I'll watch it. All right, I'm gonna let you go. You take care, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.